Can I say something maybe a little controversial?
I'm nervous.
Okay. The first time we ever met, I think you were in maybe like a darker place than you are right now.
Correct.
You were still coming out of like the pits of depression.
Deep, dark pits.
Deep, dark depression. And I remember thinking, and I didn't have the words quite to describe this at this point, but I remember thinking you had all this like creativity and ambition without like a place to channel it.
100%.
And of course, this is not a commentary on like when you're depressed, you just can't work up the energy or courage to do stuff.
No, I would almost argue that was a leading cause of my depression in a lot of ways,
because you can like just get up whenever, stay in bed till when, like there is no, you don't have a boss, like you are your own boss, which is kind of scary sometimes. And this morning I was just like scrolling through TikTok and I saw this guy talking about this term blissful dissatisfaction, and I think it for the first time gave me words to describe this thing I wanted to tell you, but I just didn't know how to articulate it. But he said you get so much joy and purpose and fulfillment from working towards something. It's why like athletes after their career is over and they've won everything can get so depressed because they're like, I was working towards this thing all this time,
and then it's like, now what?
And now when I hear about like how you were so ambitious about your modeling career and growing on TikTok, and now you have like your dream life. You know, you've built everything you wanted to build. Not to say you won't have more dreams and goals in the future, but it does give you like this sense of what next. And I think this podcast has let us be so creatively fulfilled.
It's like got me hungry again.
Yes.
Like I feel so hungry.
I like see it in your eyes. Like we, every time we have an idea, we get so excited and it brings back this purpose.
100%.
And I've been thinking just so much about like self-worth and confidence and how to build that. And sometimes doing hard things and setting goals and working towards them. Like we always think once we get the thing, we'll be happy. But I think the working towards it gives us so much fulfillment.
Agreed. And I think this goes hand in hand with like the other day we were talking in the car, because one thing people may not know about you, they probably do, is like you are the most driven something people may not know about you is you are the most driven human being I've ever met. Truly, like it is actually insane the amount of things you do in a day, and you have friends and you maintain your friendships. And in the car the other day I was like, how do you do it? Like, how are you so motivated? And you were like, I don't think it's motivation, I think it's discipline. And that really stuck with me, because someone I dated once said the exact same thing to me, but when they said it I was like, fuck you. But when you said it I was like, wait, that's so true, because you can't always rely on motivation.
It just comes in such weird spurts. Like it always hits me at like motivation always hits me at 11 p.m. On a weird night when I'm feeling weird. Like it's never normal.
No. So you have to just like find it within yourself. And I was like, well, how are you disciplined? And you were like, can I tell them?
Of course.
It's a little vulnerable, but you were like, I like the way that people treat me when I am like a disciplined, successful person.
And it's a great way to start getting into it. I started working out for aesthetic reasons, and then you know it starts to feel good and you realize the health benefits. You're like, oh, I'm sleeping better and all this other stuff. But often to get into things, I even told you, like, it's spite a lot of time. It's like people who didn't believe in you or didn't think you would be successful or you weren't smart or hardworking.
And I think the problem I faced for a long time is like I was the biggest on spite motivating me. Like I was bullied in school, my family situation was weird, like I wanted to get out of the little town I was living in. Like I was so motivated by all these external factors, and then when I achieved all these things, I made it to the city, I had enough money to feel comfortable, I had enough followers to feel like people perceived me in a certain way, I lost all motivation to try anymore. I was like, okay, I kind of did enough that now I don't care anymore,
because it gets comfortable.
It's just I was too comfortable and I just could not find that fire within me. But I did have I had like a story. I've always said this. I have this like story in me that's like trying to claw its way out, but I just like can't find the right medium almost all the time. And then this podcast, I think, really kind of gave me what I needed.
It's just like the most fun project, and I really believe in the way to build confidence is to build like self-trust.
So you're so big on that, and it's so
it's
true.
Huge, because I think that is the way you like yourself. and us saying like we're gonna do this thing and then sitting down and doing it and like setting it up, recording, editing, posting, it gives us a sense of we're doing something. Yes. It's so hard at the beginning, but everything worth doing is kind of hard.
Exactly, or else everyone would be doing it.
I'm just so proud of us.
I am too. I actually think, other than when I was like 16 and being a maniac about modeling, I think this is the most consistent at anything I've been ever in a really long time. And I'm so not going anywhere with the pod. Like, I'm so committed to this.
We are here.
We're here to stay. Like, I love it. I love it.
I love it too. This is my safe space, the Kiss Castle.
Me too. I like just believe in her so much. Yeah.
And every now and then we do get a little like weird. We're like, should we just like stop it? Should we quit?
Often are like have these days where we're like, by the way, don't ever ask me to pod again because I'm done.
Yeah. So this is not to say that we don't have those really deep, dark, like we can't be doing this anymore. We have nothing to say. And we edit it ourselves, which is the worst part of the pod.
If you ever want to hate yourself, start a podcast.
Yeah.
And
like,
edit it yourself.
Oh my God. Listening to yourself back.
No. And the thing is, a lot of times we will edit at Maul's apartment and then like I drive home. And I cannot tell you how on that drive home I'm like, I'm the most annoying girl in the world. I can't believe I have any friends at all. Like, I can't believe that that's how I sound when I talk. I'm so fucking annoying. Like, it's just...
Which is crazy because I'm thinking that whole thing about me. You know?
I know, and when you say it, I'm like, wait, you didn't say anything wrong.
Yeah, that's how I feel about you.
It's just like...
It's just insane to have to hear yourself back. And anything mean that a viewer has thought about us, we have already thought about ourselves. Don't you even worry about it.
And it's funny because we don't really get hate comments.
No. I love when they critique us, but with an inside joke. They'll be like, can I say something? The audio is horrible.
Yeah, if you want to leave us a hate comment and you start with like, can I say something? You're still on our good side.
Yeah.
Like, that's fine.
That's in fact, like, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's world building.
Because you get us. Yeah, it's so true. So true.
And in today's episode, we wanted to do a little like questions, answers. Everyone left little Dropbox questions and we organized them so we know what we want to talk about.
Which is like huge. We're super organized. Wait, can I ask you, what was going to be controversial about that?
Well, okay, I didn't actually even get into the controversy of it all, but here's what it is that I think a lot of not only influencers, but influencers are one of a broad category of thing. Also people who maybe were born into really rich families and didn't have to work. This like set of people are unfulfilled and unhappy because they are not intellectually stimulated enough or challenged enough.
I completely agree.
That was like my controversial statement.
Yeah, no, I think it's also, what is the thing? What did you say? Blissfully
dissatisfied,
where you're comfortable and you kind of have it all. But that doesn't, it's like those sayings where it's like
sometimes something clicks and it's like the wanting of something is kind of
part
a
of
good
the fun.
Feeling. Yeah, like
it's
we
the
want
journey, not the destiny. What is that quote that's like, I hope that everyone gets everything they ever wanted so that they realize
it won't. And that's really what it is. When people get so successful, they get everything they've ever wanted. They look around and they're like, wait, this didn't do what I wanted it to do for me.
Happy.
Yeah.
That was, I think, a huge... There were so many things that pushed me into like my bad like depression, like capital D depressive episode. But I think a big one was it kind of felt like I got everything I ever wanted, obviously on a very small scale. Like I was never a celebrity. I'm not a millionaire. I'm not in movies, like blah blah blah. But it was like, oh wow, I'm still not happy. I still walk into rooms feeling incredibly insecure. I still don't feel respected. And it just like that realization made me so depressed.
Yeah,
because it's like, it's also like that Lana Del Rey quote, which I think is also someone that's actually a philosopher, and I refer to it as Lana Del Rey, which is like, no matter where you go, you take yourself.
Yes.
Like you can't escape yourself, no matter how famous you are, no matter how much money you have. It's all still up here. And
it's what Taylor sings about so much too. Like you climb the mountain and you look around. It's like, okay, this didn't do it for me either. Like what'll do it for me? And it's like, a crazy feeling. So you just the answer? You have to enjoy the climb.
Yeah. And I think connection too, to be honest, because like imagine being so successful and having no one to go home to and share it with. That's always my biggest fear. Whenever I'm single, which currently I am not talking to a single person, really proud of myself because I have a fear of being alone. And I'm always like, well, I'm married to the game. Like, I'm going to work so hard. I only care about my career. But then it's like, well, what if I make it and I have nobody? But at least I'll have my friends.
You have your friends, and it's sometimes worse to make it, have someone, and not feel like they see you or celebrate you. Like being in a bad relationship is so much worse than being alone.
That's true. Feeling lonely when you have someone
that's a darkness.
That's a dark loneliness.
Yeah.
So true.
Like there is someone in your bed, but like you feel so alone.
Yeah.
That's such a horrible feeling.
God, we didn't even get to our questions yet, but I keep having things to say. One more thing. I keep thinking, because lately I'm in my like pity party, I'm alone era, and every time we hang out, I have these long drives home where I'm just thinking, and I'll be like, or I'll get home and it's late at night and I'm like, God, I'm so lonely, nobody loves me. And then I'm like, how ignorant of me. I literally have the most like beautiful friendships. There's so much love in my life. Like there's so much love in my life, and to only count the romantic love is so, I don't know, I don't want to say selfish, like I don't know the word, it's just like it's ungrateful for
our society has kind of placed so much importance on that though, that we have grown up thinking we are alone if we don't have this, literally the words other half.
Yeah, that is, it's like you literally handmade me a dinner and I went home and felt sorry for myself for being single. And it's like that goes against my value of gratitude, because that was so much love in that act, and I'm feeling fucking sorry for myself. And there were times when I didn't have friends, and so I'm like, wait, no, I actually live such a loving life without a partner.
But you also can't be too hard on yourself for like sometimes wanting a partner. That's a really
and I do
normal feeling.
I'm a relationship girly and I'm a lover, but I guess that's just to kind of put things in perspective, because I think a lot of people are very like, oh, I'm so alone, there's no love in my life. And it's like, no, there's kind of love everywhere though.
Yeah.
And having friends is a privilege, and I used to not have friends, so like I get it. It sucks, but there is hope to make friendships. I don't know where this is
We're
going.
so different, because I love being single.
You do.
I like literally, I could talk about it till I'm blue in the face. I really feel passionately about being single. But even when I'm single, it's like every now and then you get a ping of like, ooh, wish there was someone here.
Yeah, there will be one little thing that happens. For me, it's always like the crisp fall air. I'm like, God, I wish someone would hold my hand.
Yeah. Like sometimes it's 9 p.m. on a Friday and you're like, I would kill for a handhold right now. A little spoon from behind.
A little spoon from behind.
Oh my God. I know, I completely get it. For me, it was like Sunday mornings.
Oh my God, yeah.
That'll make me feel really like weird. And then what I would do is I would just schedule around it.
What do you mean?
So if I know like, okay, Sunday mornings are I get a lot of like little pings on Sunday mornings about feeling like, oh man, would love a boyfriend. I will on Thursday be like, who wants to get bagel Sunday morning?
Oh, that's smart.
So I kind of schedule to make myself happier then.
Yeah.
And plan ahead, because I know I don't want to use the word trigger here, but I know I got that little like feeling.
You don't want to sit in the yearning of it all.
Yes.
Yeah, because one thing about me is I will sit in the yearning, and it feels good sometimes, but only for a little bit.
I love it for music. Like I love listening to music and yearning.
Yeah. Sometimes when I'm falling asleep, I'm yearning myself to sleep.
Oh my God, that's another reason I developed discipline. I just like, and this is unhealthy, but I just didn't want time alone with my thoughts.
See, and all I do, I love time alone with my thoughts.
Do you know the idiom, an idle mind is a devil's playground?
No, but that's so good.
My mom has always told me that. She's always been like,
idle mind is a devil's playground.
Isn't that genius?
So
my mom's always been like, keep yourself busy. Like the more time you have alone with your thoughts, the more you think about yourself and like have bad emotions. Just keep doing things outside of yourself.
Your mom would have so many wise words to give me, because like I wish someone had told me that a little bit sooner. Speaking of the devil, something I've been thinking lately is I've been taking a break from smoking weed. I've talked on here about it's really good for me. I'm not gonna get into that, but I have been literally thinking about how like this is so dramatic. I'll be like, wow, weed really is the devil's lettuce. Like this is like,
you're like, that's why they named it that.
Yeah, like it really sucks you into the temptations, like being like sloth and lust and gluttony and all of the things.
Interesting.
When I'm high, I'm like the best version of myself in a lot of ways, but she's not productive. She's eating a lot of food. She's horny. She's laying around. She's not my best
It's an
version.
idle mind, dare I say.
It's an idle mind.
But no, that's not even true about you, because you are thinking.
Idle isn't the right word, but it's like, but
maybe idle hands.
Yeah.
Because your mind is active, but you are laying.
Laying in the yearning of it all.
Like I always imagine you like laying like a mummy or a corpse.
What it is.
Yeah.
My eyes are open and I'm just.
That's actually so freaky.
Sometimes I talk out loud, at least to myself.
Oh no,
Does that make it better?
No. I don't know if it makes That's so freaky. I wish I was just a fly on the wall.
Me too. Theo's the only one who knows the truth.
Oh, he knows so much.
He's been through so much.
Okay, should we start with the questions?
Should we get into it? Okay, It's only been 17 minutes, guys.
How do you deal with not feeling queer enough? This is a beautiful question for you. I think this is something you think a lot about.
I still don't feel queer enough.
Which is interesting because queerness is so vast.
Like, what does it mean? If you are gay, if you have sex with someone of the same sex or non-binary or whatever, you are queer. You don't have to, like, prove it. Who are you proving it to? You know?
I think, like, 15 years ago, again, this, like, I'm a straight person, but 15 years ago, I think queerness had a very specific aesthetic.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it was just, you guys got rainbows and that was kind of it. They said end period, end of sentence.
Well, and, like, like, kind of gender bending, like, more masculine women and feminine men. And now I feel like that's been very, like, co-opted in straight culture.
Yeah.
Like, lesbian, like, telltale signs are now common straight girl outfits.
Yeah.
So now we're kind of like, well, fuck.
Yeah. Like, whenever I wear a flannel, I'm like, damn it.
Or like your little docs.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck.
I wear actually so many things.
You do.
But it's like, this isn't.
The rings.
Yeah. In high school, my parents were always like, cut your hair. I was like, no, I can't do one more thing. Like,
and they would be like, do you have anything to tell us? It's
Yeah.
like, you guys are telling me to cut my hair.
I know. Oh my God. That's real. Okay. I wanted to ask you this earlier when we were in the car, but I'm saving it. How do you feel about the terms like femme lesbian and masc lesbian?
That's so true.
Do you think those encode like gender once again? Even the term like bisexual.
Yeah.
It's like two genders.
Well, I think like femme and masc, there's this unspoken rule that almost it's more valid to be masc. Like, maybe not more valid, but I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've dated multiple people. Like, one girl I went on a date with, who I've talked about, who I was like, I feel insecure around you because I'm so femme and I know you don't like that. She was like, it's not that I'm not attracted to that, it's that I know masc girls are actually gay and that I'm not an experiment to them, or that,
my God.
which isn't that so problematic?
Yeah.
And I do think a lot of people live by that assumption that like, well, masc girls are actually gay and they're actually gonna enjoy having sex with me or be attracted to me. Yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, I have felt that way a little bit before, where I do really have a hard time believing that femme girls could be attracted to me sexually. But with masc girls, I'm like, well, obviously if they verbalize that they're attracted to me, I will be like, I believe you. Like, I believe that you were attracted to my little femme self. Yeah. Which is so heteronormative. It's crazy. And it's just so baked into all of us.
Even the idea that like masc lesbians are with femme lesbians. Like all of it. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like a little microcosm of straightness in queer culture.
It's so silly because the whole thing about queer culture should be breaking out of the heteronormative like gender roles and everything assigned to people because of their gender.
Even people being like, who's the top in the relationship? Which
oh my God.
You would never ask straight people about that. So why are you asking queer people? It's
and
weird.
You know what I was thinking the other day? I was like, well, technically straight people like are verse also. Like, girls are expected to give head and also receive, but they're not considered the top.
I need to tell you something.
Tell me.
Sorry I interrupted, but
no,
this is going to be worth it.
This is an interruption safe zone. That's how we talk. Okay.
I don't know. I can't remember. You pulled something out of the depths of my brain.
Okay.
I heard somewhere or read somewhere, can't remember where. I'll find it, I swear. But it was talking about how there are like, it was dissecting all these sexual trends, and it was saying that all sexual trends for men revolve around pleasure, all sexual trends for women revolve around pain. Like, think about like when you like blowjobs is like pleasure, but like choking, like right now choking is like one of the biggest sexual trends, and it's
almost like
that's suffocation.
It's almost like vanilla now.
Yes.
And it's dangerous.
If you don't want to be choked, you're called vanilla. You're like shamed.
And you know what we've never fucking talked about is the vanilla shaming of it all. We're so passionate about this.
Yes.
Because once I dated someone who, they didn't make me take they asked me to take a BDSM test, and I was like, I don't want to give that person these results because it was like 99% vanilla, and I was so embarrassed.
And it's supposed to be embarrassing?
Right, why is that embarrassing?
Oh my God.
Isn't that weird?
We've done something weird with our culture where like now, oh my God, it was an article. It was called like the troubling trend in teenage sex. See, I knew it was going to come to me. And she researches teenagers, and she talks about 1 in 3 young girls are choked for the first time between the ages of 12 and 18.
And I was one of them.
Isn't that crazy? And you're supposed to just take it because that's what's quote unquote in now. And who made it in? Porn, which is mostly men, old men who are directing it, and then that becomes a sexual trend, and women then have to, if they don't want pain, they're considered vanilla. Like there's something wrong with them.
Right, because men, young boys, intake so much porn that they don't really know what regular loving sex is, and young girls are so conditioned to seek male validation. Like I'll speak from personal experience. Like I tried so hard to pretend to be kinky because I thought it would be really hot and sexy for boys. I didn't even know what I was talking about. I would watch porn and try to emulate it, and I pretended like I liked it, and I think it got to a point for a little bit where I didn't know what I liked and what I was pretending to like. And then I had to go through a whole era of just like celibacy, and we've talked about, we need to do a whole episode about porn because we're both we have
so much to say
about it.
Oh my god. In college I lived with, I know we should get to the questions, but I fear like I'm gonna forget. Okay,
yeah, I think
in college I lived with 6 other people, so it was 7 of us. So fun, best living experience of my life. And it was 4 guys, 3 girls, and we would just have so many conversations about like dating. And one time one of my female roommates came home from a first date, and she said we were kissing and he tried to choke me and like didn't ask before, and she was so sad and hurt by it, like emotionally. Luckily not physically. And a lot of the guys were like, it's crazy because we get the messaging that women want that, and like how do we navigate it? And it's like, why can't we talk about it? That's why I think I love the name of our pod so much, because like, can I say something like advocate for yourself? It's not a bad thing to be like, hey, by the way, I don't like this. It's hot to know what you like and don't like.
About it almost feels so embarrassing to be like, hey, I don't like being choked. I still feel that way with girls, because one thing, I don't like being choked. It's really triggering for me because I have like sexual violence and trauma. Like I cannot do like physically
and this is not sex. If you like it, this is
not kink shaming. It's just like my personal thing.
Of course,
and I feel embarrassed telling that even to women, because I'm like, oh my god, I'm so vanilla and I'm so boring. And even on Hinge, there's a lot of girls that are like, their thing is like, if you're vanilla, swipe left. And
oh my god.
And I guess like go off if that's what you want, but it just like there's a shame around it. Like there's something wrong with it. Or like it can't be as fun or fulfilling.
Hating that. Know? We need to do an entire episode on this. I feel like we have lots to say.
We're going to keep this episode super short.
Super short, and only talk about the questions.
Didn't even answer the question.
Let's do a couple at least.
Let's quickly touch on that. How do you deal with not feeling queered off? Like we didn't answer that.
We didn't answer in the slightest. You go.
I would say, I think that, wait, maybe I don't have an answer.
Don't rush. No, take your time.
I don't know how do I deal with it? I think realizing that being hyperfemme is also queer kind of helped me. And I think surrounding myself with queer people and having queer friends in a queer community feels very gay to me. I don't think I'm necessarily, if you picked me out of a crowd, I'd be like, oh, that girl's gay. But like, I live such a gay lifestyle. All my friends are gay other than you. But you're like the gayest straight person I've ever met. So it doesn't even count. Like, I don't know. I think that you can be culturally gay and not have to look gay. And if anyone makes you feel that way, they are weird and have some kind of like insecurity they're projecting. Like my first ever girlfriend would constantly make comments that are like, oh, we need to get rid of your straight wardrobe.
Weird.
What does that mean? My little dresses that I like to wear still, I still like them. Rude, maybe insecure. So those people are just dealing with their own internalized, I don't know, idea. It's like almost like the heteronormativity of like you can't be femme and gay.
I also think representation really helps. Like we were just in the car talking about Ingrid Nilsson's coming out video
and how it really touched both of us.
Where I was like, oh, I don't know why I was so involved with this part of YouTube, but it was just like, oh, people can be gay and look like completely different kinds of women. Like that was kind of groundbreaking at the time.
It was.
And you get to be that for people on TikTok now. Like,
I always think about that. I really want to be that for people. Also, like, not even in a way where I'm constantly promoting. Like, I think it'd be so cool if when I was younger, I mean, that's exactly what happened with her, is I followed her for years and years, this femme pretty girl who does her makeup, and then later you find out she's gay, and it changes nothing. And it's like, oh my god. Like, I don't know, it just makes it not your personality trait. It's just like it's such a small, why does your sexuality matter? It doesn't you know what I mean? That was really,
Absolutely.
really cool, I think.
Can I take this to a place of something completely different?
Yeah.
When I first started on TikTok, a lot of the questions I would get would be like, talk about being like South Asian American or Indian American. And like, whenever I would do interviews, it would be like, what do you feel about being Indian American and like being representation? And my number one thing was always, and I also got a lot of hate, by the way, of like not talking about the fact that I'm Indian American enough and not bringing it up enough. And it was sort of like, I am obviously Indian American and I feel so proud to come from where I come from. And I feel really secure and in touch with it. And it's a part of who I am. And I want to be able to do a million other things. And that is the backdrop of who I am rather than the fore of it. Ooh. And I feel the same way with you being a femme queer person, where it's like, that doesn't need to be with what I lead with, because it's not your entire personality and it shows the vastness of the queer experience.
Yeah, I love
it. Doesn't need to be your brand.
Right.
Because it can look like a billion different things, and this just happens to be one of your multifaceted like things, because right?
If you think about it, literally straight people don't make that their brand, white people don't make that their brand ever. So it's almost like, why do I have to like,
if you are other, yes,
it's like almost like othering yourself in a weird way. But I get that like the representation is important, and I'm not trying to take away from that. Like, people, I talk about being gay all the time because I think that it's such a quick way to build intimacy with other gay people. You can so quickly be like, what's your coming out story? Like, I love talking about being gay, but I don't think that's even remotely the most interesting thing about me. Yeah. Which I think is cool.
I love that. Yeah.
Same with you. I get it. Anyway.
Okay.
Sorry, it's been almost 30 minutes and we're on question 1.
We always do this.
How to let go of someone in your past / get over someone. I'm big on out of sight, out of mind.
I'm also big on out of sight, out of mind. I did have to get over someone at one point that I lived across the hall from, so and saw really every single day, which was so not out of sight, out of mind.
And wasn't it like your fault or an option?
Wasn't an option. I went to a 300-person college in the middle of the woods. Like, it was so not an option to not see this person in every class, at every party, every time I'm in the hallway.
That's my nightmare.
Hear them in their room while I'm in my room. Like, as close of a breakup as it can get. Like, basically living together. Yeah. For lack of better words.
Yeah.
And I found it really helpful. I don't believe in like use other people to get over this person, but I find it really helpful to meet new people
and remember that other people exist.
Yes, that is like the number one. And other people exist that maybe you're not romantically interested in even, right? But to show you just like how big the world is.
Yeah, because you can really start to feel like
you'll
never meet anyone else. Anyone that does this is compatible in this way. Like, no, you will.
And I had all these like little weird tricks for myself, but like anytime I was like sitting and thought about him, I would make myself get up and move locations.
Yeah. And
like I redid my room, I changed the position of things. Like, you need to try to make everything new again.
Yeah, that's why people like get haircuts.
Yes,
like, I get it.
I think that's a great way to do it. Just as much newness as you can incorporate into your life. Start new hobbies, like start going to the gym, start a new routine, suddenly start waking up at 5 a.m. if you know do it. Sounds crazy, but you need to just sort of reinvent yourself.
It makes sense. I was gonna say something and now I forget. So sorry.
I have all these like crazy tactics, I feel like, but it works.
And I feel like another one, which is so kind of cliche, but it really works, is like making a list of things you don't like about them
and hyperfixating
and and that's what I've been doing with like my latest situationship, like the August situation. That's what I have to do, is remind myself why it will literally never work, or even if there's one thing I don't like about her, that is the only thing I let myself think about. I'll just stop
on
the
loop.
Thoughts. Like you just have to be conscious of the fact that your mind is tricking you. It's not as good as you're making it out to be, or it would be working.
And tell your friends all of the horrible things or icky things, and make them repeat it back to you over and over and over again.
Or even literally you do that to me when I'm like being all mopey and being like, well, I'm never gonna feel this way, and you're like, oh, you would want to be with someone that does this? And I'm like, you're right. No, I wouldn't.
You have to like keep saying it to yourself. Yeah. And talk to your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to really beat it. Like, you have to tackle it from every single angle.
But it will go away.
Yes.
It really will. Like,
it really
it's
will.
magical. Time really heals all. What famous person do you think you'd have a chance with if you met them in real life?
Any
All
of them. And like, we genuinely believe that.
Not only do we believe it, like I want someone to prove me wrong.
I just know anyone who meets either of us that we want
Is the thing. Like, yeah.
I've never had a crush not fulfill itself.
No. I have been rejected this year more than I ever have, which is really hurtful.
You've put yourself out there more than you ever have.
Yeah. And
they're weird.
Yeah, they're super weird.
My word of the day is weird. You know how every episode I start saying one word a lot?
Weird is really it today. Like, I know me and Phoebe Bridgers, like, at least would make out.
Oh,
like,
she
easy.
would love it.
And I would love it too. It'd be great.
And she would be obsessed with you.
Cara Delevingne? Please.
That would be a hot couple.
I've thought about this a lot.
Do you think you could just DM her?
Isn't she in a relationship?
Well, then she won't respond.
Like, if her, Kristen Stewart, Phoebe Bridgers, if they were all single, I guarantee I could at least make out with them. For a fact.
And they would all be so lucky.
Do you have any specifics?
I really, sometimes I see a celebrity, I'm like, if they met me, they would fall in love. Like,
which they would.
And I can't describe this, but it's almost like I don't want them to meet me and like be all obsessed with me. Like,
right, like it's like I'll save them.
I'll save them from it.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. I know that's crazy.
No, it's
but
not.
I've never been proven wrong.
No, and you're the most lovable girl alive.
That's what I think.
I think so too. Hope that
Sorry.
answers your question.
What are the challenges you encounter dating men? We have been thinking about this a lot. And can we make it like dating mask people as a whole?
Yeah, because I think a lot of issues that come with men go hand in hand with just general masculinity. So yes.
Which a lot of people I think are nowadays trying to emulate.
Yes.
Including mask lesbians.
Right, but there is also this inherent privilege that men have that mask lesbians don't. So it's a little different, and I would love to hear your perspective on like men specifically.
Okay, well, I am really obsessed with this Professor Scott Galloway, who I talked about in the first episode, but he talks about how traditionally women have always dated quote unquote up. So like if a woman is college educated, she's gonna date a man who's college educated or more.
True.
Versus it doesn't often happen the other way around.
Yeah.
Versus like men will date, and this I'm using quotes, but like down. And then he uses this analogy of height, but it's like women are now getting taller and taller, so there's not as many left above. Like there is this incongruence now between women and men, and of course there are gay people, I'm not saying that, but like as a woman dating men, I do see that in the dating pool where I am an optimist, you know that about me, but I think it's really hard to find good, successful, like everywhere I look I see women who fit all these criteria that I want, and I just don't see that with men. And I'm hopeful, and I have a lot of great male friends and all of that, but we were recently talking about this, but I feel like I'm a pretty successful person.
Very successful.
And I think that disrupts a lot of male egos.
Yeah.
Or makes them question themselves.
I think it's
or
really
makes them
hard
insecure. Yeah.
For men to be around successful women, especially if they aren't incredibly confident in themselves and their accomplishments.
And I'm very loving and supportive, and I think it's just hard to like see that reflected back often. And I think about this all the time, but like when women say they want someone funny, they want someone funny. When men say they want someone funny, they want someone who laughs at their jokes.
So true.
And I think about that all the time with like support. Like, oh my God, I have this one male acquaintance, I'll call him, and he is very successful. And he was once
I think I know exactly who you're talking about.
He was once telling me that he really wants, he's in a certain field that I won't say because I think that'll give it away, but he's in like a uber successful field, and he really wants someone who is also really well educated and then will leave her job to bear his children and be a housewife, which there's nothing wrong with. But then he was in a relationship with someone who that's what their goal was. They really wanted to be a mom and like that is their life goal. And he was like, I find that unattractive. And I was like, wait, what do you mean? You've always said that's what you wanted. He's really successful. And he was like, well, I want them to want more and then quit it.
That's a crazy thing to admit out loud.
And it reminded me of, there's this quote by Trevor Noah where he said, like, men want exotic birds and then to trap them in a cage. They don't want a bird that's meant for cages. They want an exotic bird.
It's the pretty bird of it all. Literally.
And it just, he said this, I've known this guy for a long time, and it just was so illuminating for me.
Oh my God.
And then to, like, date men is really tricky, and I try to remain positive. I really do.
You do.
But that day, I remember going home and just, like, sitting and staring blankly into space, because it was just like, men say they want smart women, but not too smart. Men say they want ambitious women, but not when it's an inconvenience for them. Like, it's something to say you want an ambitious woman, and then in practice, they're going to be busy. They're going to be stressed. Yeah. All of those qualities are attractive. Like
yeah. It's like mental illness in the way where it's like, you want it when it's sex. It's not that you want it, but it's so much more
palatable
when it's sexy, or it's cute, or it's like a pretty white skinny girl. And then when it's like the reality, like the ugly realities of these things, people are like, oh, I don't want
when it's
that.
Like smelly, no brushing teeth, like when it's that, it's like no.
Yeah. That's why that poem, the Pretty Bird poem, it's like that sentiment is so hard to put into words. That thing that like men want this certain kind of women, but to trap, not like to cage them or to clip their wings, or like they don't want a bird that can't fly. They want to take a bird that can fly and then put it in a cage.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
They want you educated enough to teach their children or to take you to a dinner and have you conversate, but they don't want you so educated that you want more for yourself than what they want for you.
Or that you would ever like debate against anything they say or stand up for themselves. And can I say another thing? This is kind of going back to like the humor thing. I am sure you've experienced this as well. When I dated men, every single man I've ever dated has said, you know, you're really funny for a girl. And it's like, because men literally can't conceptualize women being funny. And I'll say it, I'm really funny. Like, I am.
You're hilarious. You're the funniest person ever.
You're the funniest person ever too. But A, I'm not funny for a girl. I'm funny in general. And B, like, most girls I've ever met are really funny. Not many men have ever made me laugh. They're not very funny.
I also hate that male humor is like supposed to be for everyone, and then female humor is branded as like female humor.
Right. Exactly.
What is up with? I hate that.
It's so annoying.
Or it has to be really sexual, almost like call her daddy humor that gets them off.
Then they think it's funny.
Yeah. Ew. Where it's like subversive, and they're like, oh my God, hot.
Like, she's so crazy. No.
Can I tell you a story about my ex who was
the bad one?
The bad one. He was really good at chess, and he like loved chess.
Of course he did.
And there's this like Japanese game called Onitama, which is heavily inspired by chess, that I really like. And this was during the pandemic. One day, me and my two roommates, Annie, who you know, and my other roommate Kyle, we were all sitting at home, and we were watching The Bachelor or some like trashy reality TV show. And we had that game out, and I was like playing with my friend Annie. And then this was the first day we'd ever started playing this game. Okay, we'd just gotten it. And then he wanted to play, so we played a game. I was like barely paying attention. I was also watching the show and talking to my friends. And I beat him once, and he couldn't believe it. And he was like, what? Like, we have to play again. I was like, okay. We played again. I beat him again. He started getting so upset, like cranky and upset. Then I beat him a third time, and he stormed out, and my two friends looked at me like, what is going on? Like, he was just so visibly upset. And this guy liked having a smart girlfriend. He didn't like having a winning. Yeah. And it's not even like I was smarter. I just happened to win 3 games because I was good at the game.
Right.
And he could not let it go. For the rest of the night, we were like, no, we just kind of want to watch the TV. He was like, no, we have to play again. Like, not letting it go.
Can I fucking tell you something so in that vein? I took this acting class where we were studying the Meisner method, which I have a lot to say, and I'm not going to get into it, but like an important element of it is like, you always have to be doing an activity. So you have to like bring an activity to class because they want your brain to be focused on something. I don't know. It's like a whole thing, but in the beginning when we first started learning this, they would give us these like silly activities. Like one of them was like balancing a broomstick on your finger, like to see who could do it the longest. And there was this man in my class, and like they'd be like, okay, who volunteers? And he's like, me. Obviously it's so easy. And he'd do up, and he couldn't do it. And then a girl would like not want to go, but she had to do it, and she'd be so good at it. He'd literally be like, let me go again. Every time a girl beat him his number, he'd have to go again. He got so angry that he quit the class because he kept getting beat by women.
Honestly good.
But it was actually so scary to see that like actual visceral anger in real life is like, so scary.
It's terrifying.
Because those people are going to one day have, I mean, I don't know his sexuality, but like partners and children maybe. And it's like, to get so angry about something like that is, oh my God, not
anger
healthy.
Issues scare me.
So scary.
And their ego.
It's the ego.
Ultimately, it's the ego that is so fragile and gets so hurt. It's just so unattractive. Ultimately,
I love that about. I don't know many women like that who can't handle being beaten, because we're kind of always.
Yeah, people are always trying to like show us our place.
Right. So it's like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like when I win, sometimes I feel bad. Like I want to let other people win because I'm like, no, you're going to get upset about it. Yeah. It's fine. Just win. I don't fucking care that much. Ugh. Okay. What time is it?
It is 42 minutes.
Should we wrap it up? Should we end on
Yes. Yeah.
Proudest moment of the past year?
You go.
I mean, I think I have a few because I'm very indecisive. I do think one of my proudest moments is going to IOP. Wait, was that not this year?
Say it anyway.
I do think one of my proudest moments was like getting help when I needed it for depression.
And
like,
what is IOP?
IOP is an intensive outpatient program. So you have to like, it's voluntary. So like an involuntary one would be if you were a danger to yourself or others and you like have to be in a hospital. But this is like people who are kind of on the border of that and like don't want to get there. So like voluntarily I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to this little mental institution every day and like do the little art therapy and have the group therapy and do all the things. And like I think there's so much stigma attached to that I don't think a lot of people willingly want to do that.
People don't talk about it.
I don't know if you got to this episode of Sex and the City yet, where Carrie dates someone who's an IOP.
I did.
And they all talk about him like he is like crazy. Like they're like, oh, loony bin over here. And it's like, I mean, the show is problematic in so many ways.
Yeah.
And it didn't hurt my feelings. It made me laugh. But like, that's really how people think. And it's kind of sad.
I hope times have changed a little bit in the past 20 years. I
have a little bit. Yeah, I didn't ever feel embarrassed telling anyone I did IOP. If anything, I do feel genuinely proud of it because I'm like, and also it's like those people would have been like, oh my God, check in on your friends if I ever like hurt myself.
Absolutely.
But then it's like, you're going to an outpatient program? That's weird. Like, it's just like, it's just so hypocritical and people are so silly. But yeah, I feel really proud of myself.
I'm so proud of you. And I think there's so much bravery in asking for help.
So much bravery.
And saying like, I think I need this right now. Yeah. And then also so much bravery in like being able to talk about it to young people who are like, I don't know anyone that talks about it, because the only way you reduce the stigma is being like, yeah, this is normal, it helped me.
Exactly.
And not like concealing it and keeping it in this corner like a
dirty secret. Yeah, exactly.
No, I think I'm so proud of you also, not only for doing it, but then also sharing that you've done it and that it helped you.
Yeah, I agree. That's one of my proudest ones. Do you have anything in mind for you?
You said you had multiple.
Well, I was also going to say the pod.
Yeah.
I love this pod. I feel so proud of the name, the branding, the marketing. I think we are the most clever girls in the world. We are so driven and hardworking. Let me tell you something, not easy making a podcast.
No, and it was so fateful. Like when the name turned into the acronym, the look on our faces.
Yep.
I would pay money to
have that captured.
to like see that and be able to share that.
Yeah.
I remember exactly where we were sitting and
Me
like
too.
how it happened. It just makes me feel so happy that I want to go tell those girls like, hey, you guys are doing it. A few months in, you guys are doing it.
Yeah.
And
every time we think of a little idea, like a goodbye kiss, I'm like, God, we're so smart. I love being smart and doing it and believing in ourselves and not feeling embarrassed to try.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, actually, no, we do feel embarrassed to try, but we're doing it anyway, and that's what I'm proud of.
And I'm so happy we're doing it together. I think it makes it a lot easier.
World of difference. Yeah.
I would have quit.
I don't think I ever would have started.
It's just so much fun doing it together.
Yeah.
I love that answer.
Thank you. What are yours?
I think mine, I had this, I think now you've noticed this about me, but which is like a funny way to end this episode considering what we started talking about. But I really feel proud of myself that I enjoy the journey to things. I don't, people ask like, how do you not burn out? And I think I don't burn out because I celebrate every little thing really intensely. Like finishing a days of work, I reward myself with a sweet treat. Like that is just the way I do things, and I think it works. But in like March of this year, I was in a weird place with work where I wasn't rewarding myself at all, and it was kind of starting not to become fun, the work I do. And I usually love the work I do, but I had this qualifying exam one week, which is basically how you become like from a PhD student to a PhD candidate. So you essentially get to start conducting your own research, is this like what it is. And I had a computer science qualifying exam. For context, if you told me in high school that I would even pass my computer science class, I would have been like, you're lying. It's so goddamn excruciatingly difficult. I don't understand a single word of what the teacher is saying. Like, I was so bad at it.
Yeah.
And then like being able to like do it in undergrad and then have this exam that I was studying and like working so hard for. And I remember the day it happened, I came home and I like sobbed on my couch for hours. It was, I don't think I've cried like that much alone in a long time. And I couldn't figure it out till I'm gonna cry again. My mom and my grandma like texted me. They were like, proud of you. And I realized I'm the first girl in my family that's ever gotten the privilege of working hard on my own. Like, my grandma wanted to complete her PhD, got pregnant, had to give it up for her husband. My mom had this career she loved, had to give it up and start a new career, but for her husband. And like the fact that I get to live alone, work hard, I just like that day reinvigorated like all my love for working. And like the fact that I get to live alone and like not report to a man, and the fact that I get to like bang my head against a computer and be like, why isn't this working? I want to figure it out. Like, it's kind of beautiful.
So
that I get to challenge myself and I get to
you get to try.
I get to try. Like, I'm like, it's really special. And the fact that we can sit down and buy mics and set up a camera and talk to each other, like,
and have our own bank accounts and
like, have credit cards.
Like it's such a privilege.
Our like ancestors would never even dream of being like, oh, I have a voice and I'm going to use it.
No, it wasn't very long ago at all when women couldn't even have a credit card.
And I was so proud of really not completing the exam that day, but feeling excited about work again.
And like what that symbolized for you in a bigger picture. Yeah. Not even just you as an individual, kind of just
seeing my grandma's message, I lost it. She was just like, I could tell the win for me was like a win for her. And it was kind of, it reminds me of the Barbie movie where she was like, women stand back so they can see how far their daughters go. And I just felt like when I won, my grandma was like, oh my God, like my granddaughter got to do what I couldn't do. And it was just so special. It made me feel so happy.
I'm so proud of you.
I'm so proud of you. Thank you. Us, look at what we're doing.
Look at this. Oh my goodness. Yeah. We are the most capable, bravest girls in the world.
I know. And that's why you should rate us 5 stars on Spotify.
Yeah, speaking of, if you agree, rate us 5 stars and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please.
God.
Anyway, unless you hate women who work and try, then that's fine. Keep it to yourself.
Or if you want, again, hate comments should be beginning with, can I say something?
If you see a hate comment that doesn't, please correct them. Thank you so much. Sorry to put you to work. Thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing.
Thank you. I love you.
I love you so much.
Should we?
A little kissy?
Okay. 1, 2, 3.